Happy season of giving, friends. I'm here to tell you the number one gift that you can give yourself as an event professional. And hint, it's not a physical gift, so just let you know it's not something you need to run out in the store and buy. But this is something that I have now learned, I feel like countless times, but really stuck out to me on a recent project. And I'm going to break down what I mean by this gift and ways that you can implement it into your event planning and event production process. So stick around. I'm Logan Clements, freelance event producer, and this is my weekly installment of my favorite tips and tricks when it comes to event planning and running your own business. As always, I will remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. If you like more free content about events, event production, and other event rock stars, I suggest you give the podcast that I co-host with fellow event pro Mary Davidson a listen. It's called the Better Events Podcast. You can see it right here, and you can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're still with me, the biggest gift that you can give yourself as an event pro or planner or vendor is time. Now, I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can incorporate this gift that you're giving yourself into your planning process, because it's something I don't think I needed to relearn this year, but it's something that I definitely feel like it's come up more and more and more, where I often then I'm thinking, if only I could give myself more time. And here's 3 ways that I now integrate that gift of time into my planning process. First one, no matter if you're doing virtual, hybrid, or in-person events, add an additional 30 minutes to your call time on event day. And call time means the time that you are arriving on site or logging onto the site, or really when you kind of quote unquote clock in, even if maybe you don't actually clock in. But add 30 minutes to whatever you're thinking. So if maybe you normally do an hour before the event, just add an extra 30 minutes in there. Make it 90 minutes before, just to give yourself that buffer, because you'll never know what's going to happen. This year I worked a multi-day event, and one of the things on the first day that I was pulling my hair out was because I didn't have enough time. I'd had enough time for everything I had wanted to get done, but I hadn't added enough buffer in for all of those things that we know inevitably happen on your event day. The speaker last minute who wants to give you a new copy of their slides, the guest that can't log in, or whatever plethora of different day of things that kind of come up. By gifting yourself an extra 30 minutes, maybe you have to wake up earlier. That was what I had to do in my case. But it just lets you kind of set your day at the pace you want it and set the event at the pace that you want it to, versus feeling frantic and wishing you had more time. So add 30 minutes to whatever time that you wanted to give yourself before you officially start your event. You also can apply that to any key vendors, or maybe you work as a part of a team and apply that to your team as well. But I would say bare minimum, you as the organizer, if you're the lead, add those extra 30 minutes in for yourself so you can just get settled. You can unpack your things. You can just make your coffee, whatever it is you're doing, again, virtual, hybrid, or in person. It just gives you that extra little bit of time. And the second time that you can gift yourself more time, do things the night beforehand. Again, sounds simple, but there are certain tasks that I know I might save for the event day because I'm I'll just load those files on that computer in the morning because I can do it. I know I have time. Granted, I could have also done it the night before. It did not need to be done on the event day. So whatever details, whatever tasks, whatever little things that you can do and take off your plate that have to happen on the event day before your show starts, before your event starts, or even during, do it the night before. I promise you won't regret it, because there are certain things that just are gonna happen on event day and you can't plan for it. You can only make time and space for yourself to be able to handle those problems. So think about different tasks. Again, loading files, sending reminders to speakers, printing off anything you have to print. I love to print run a show so I physically have it in my physical hands, no matter if I'm working from home or on site at an event. And I've learned, do that the night before, because if you're frantically trying to figure out how to print in a hotel or at a venue you're unusual with on the day before, the day of, you're gonna wish you did it the day before. And my third and final tip of ways to gift yourself more time as an event pro is to add an additional 2 to 3 hours into your proposal or your estimate of how much time you're gonna spend on this project for the post-event wrap-up. Say it again. You want to make sure you add 2 to 3 extra hours on top of whatever you're adding, or a percentage or something, but know that you're going to spend probably 2 to 3 more hours maybe than you think you will on the post-event wrap. And really, in your budgeting and proposal process, really get granular with what you will deliver as the event pro post-event, what your client will, or maybe somebody else will, and especially taking into account if some of that stuff relies on other people. So for example, maybe you are collecting mailing addresses for speakers, and that's something that you can do right away, but you're also going to have to chase and remind, and that's going to take some time because you're reliant on somebody else for that information. Versus if you're writing your own post-event feedback report, that only relies on you. You don't have to rely on anybody else. You can just write that. So maybe that takes less time. Which, by the way, I have a free download I'll link below to my free post-event feedback report that I use, like tried and true, impresses clients every single time, and is always like another gift that I'm giving future me as well as my client for how they can improve their event moving forward. So get over there and grab that at that link below. It's free. It's amazing. But anyway, anything that you can add in onto your proposal, and really just getting granular, because so many things, like I said, during an event happen, they also happen post-event. And if you're someone like me who constantly then is, moving on to your next event, the more specific you can get with your scope for what you're going to do post-event to wrap it up, and the more time you put in there to make sure you're able to kind of adjust as needed, the better off you're going to be. So I hope you learned a few things about how to gift yourself more time as an event planner and an event professional. It's honestly like one of my favorite things is when I'm feeling like super zen before an event, because I've done all of these. I've given myself extra time in the morning. I did things I could have done the night before. The actual night before, wasn't rushing to do them on the event day. And I'm super clear on my post-event wrap-up process, and probably have added an extra couple hours in there just in case it gets complicated. While none of those might seem large on their own, I trust you, they make a huge impact both on your experience and your well-being as a professional, as a planner, as a producer, but it's also going to impact your client, because I do believe with events, a lot of times we have a lot of energy transfers. And so the calmer you can be as the lead planner, the producer, or even if you're an assistant, that feeling will pass on to those around you, and it will create nothing but a positive atmosphere for your next event. And don't worry, I do believe that energy transfer stuff still works virtually, maybe not as well as it does in person, but you can still do that just with the way that you're talking, the way that you're treating others that are around you, even virtually. It all matters. Well, that's all I have for you folks. I'm Logan Clements, a freelance event producer, and this has been another installment of my favorite tips and tricks when it comes to event planning and running your own business. As always, you can follow me at loganstrategygroup_events on Instagram, or pop over to my company website at loganstrategygroup.com to see what I'm working on. And if you want to schedule a free 20-minute call with me where we can chat about your event, because if you can't tell, I love talking about events, and I'm happy to hear what your event coming up is and if you have any questions or anything. And I'll be back in your feeds again next Monday. Bye.